Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. Following a critically acclaimed, sold-out run off-Broadway, David Adme's new play, Stereophonic, has come to Broadway. It features a stellar cast, including my guest, Eli Gelb, who plays recording engineer Grover, and I caught up with him here at The Civilian. I am thrilled to be sitting with you here at Rick Miramontez's atelier at The Civilian.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, did you just come from a theater?
I did, yeah. We're rehearsing. We're in previews right now, so we're rehearsing during the day, and then we have performances at night. Right now, it's like pretty chill, actually. We did the show once at Playwrights Horizons, which you said you saw.
And loved.
Well, I'm glad you let them know. So we had a crack at it before. I think, the whole cast and everyone involved came back into it with like just a ton of curiosity, continuing curiosity, like really just all love this play so much. And but like the script didn't change much. We just kind of like get to spend time with it and really deepen and find stuff. And I feel really lucky that it's not the kind of preview process where you're getting changes and new pages and stuff like that. We go in and Daniel's like, let's try you stand over there this time and see what that does. Yeah.
But before we get into the play, you're about to make your Broadway debut.
That's true.
How excited are you?
I'm so excited. I mean, it's the whole thing is a dream. I mean, I really love this play so much. It's like ever since I read it, which was. I auditioned for this the day before the pandemic shut down for a different production of it, and then that fell through, and then, and throughout the pandemic, it was like really with me pretty intensely. I mean, the themes of the show sort of deal with like isolation and togetherness and creating something together and needing each other and tearing each other apart, and that all really resonated. Obviously through this time where, no one could see each other. And if you did, and all of the sort of different things that come up about, our culture and how we impact each other and, stuff like that. So it just really rang out to me even stronger than it already had. And I was pretty fixated on eventually playing the role, and luckily it worked out.
So for our audience who has not seen this show, this is a fascinating piece because explain what happens 8 times a week on stage.
So basically there's a rock band in the 70s that's recording an album. It's their like their follow-up. They had like some success with the first one, but and then while they're recording the second album, the first one sort of starts to pick up some steam unexpectedly. And there are 2 couples in the band, obviously just different relationships going on there, and normal sort of mishigas that you would expect from a rock band in the 70s. And that creates a really high drama atmosphere, right? And we actually get to experience this band recording their tracks, laying down tracks that the characters have written. Those songs are original songs that were composed in collaboration with David Adme by the very talented, and David Adme obviously also very talented, by Will Butler, a former member of Arcade Fire, and just such an incredible composer and like such a cool dude too. But yeah, basically all of the actors who are in the band are playing their own instruments, performing their own vocals live. Everything that you hear in the show that's like a playback is what you just heard recorded. It's a technical, wild feat. So
it's a masterpiece. It's such an incredible play, like nothing we've ever seen before. So
I agree.
Talk about who you play.
I play the recording engineer. He's somebody who's cares a lot about music, and I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but he's a really great character. I mean, he's a dream role, and I love him. I love playing him.
Because his name is Grover.
His name is Grover.
We're not going to give a lot away, but I just love the journey.
I love
that
the
everybody takes,
journey,
but the
too.
journey that you take in this show. So without giving anything away, what you love the most about this character. And your performance, it's so organic.
Thank you.
I mean, everything about this show is so organic.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's so well constructed,
Yeah.
so well written. David is a genius.
Yeah.
Daniel is a genius. Will is a genius. All the cast members,
Including
are
yourself,
pretty
seriously,
well,
yeah.
I'm a genius. No, it's such a privilege to work on this with all of the people
Yeah.
involved. It's really, it is a masterpiece, and it's what's my favorite thing about playing Grover?
Yeah.
He has a journey, and he has a journey that's really relatable, and really has a lot to do with artists and human beings.
Yeah.
And that I think David found a really great, with the whole play, found a really great way to sort of encapsulate something really universal about the human experience and the artistic experience, and how those things are actually kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And Grover's a really exciting part of that story to me, and I think a lot of people really respond to him in a way that's really satisfying. So yeah, I mean, it's really like, this play itself is, we talked about it being sort of like a masterpiece, and I think it is. And it's not just like any kind of masterpiece. It's actually like an existential masterpiece. Yeah. It's like elementally like what it's like to be alive. Yeah. And it's also really special to be performing it at the Golden, where Waiting for Godot premiered on Broadway. That's a really special, like, I've been obsessed with that play since I was, I don't know, like 14, 15. And obviously it was before my time. I didn't get to see that production, but
It's what you must dream of, you know what I mean? When you say, I'm going to Broadway, oh my gosh, we're at the Golden.
I could not have imagined like a more beautiful, perfect, like, situation for myself as an actor. It's just, this play is so special, and I connect to it so deeply. Yeah. And everyone involved is just really like magical people.
Yeah. You can tell watching it. I want to talk about your director, because I told you.
Please. I adore him.
Yeah,
yes.
Because you worked with Daniel before, but before we get into that, it's so organic, this play to watch, because it's played out in real time, even though it switches, months and a year or whatever, but it's so natural.
Yeah.
That's what makes Daniel such a wonderful director to work with.
Well, first of all, I'll say I think a big piece of what makes the play so natural is in David's writing. It's so it's actually really interesting, because on the one hand it's very naturalistic and like life, and on the other hand it's really precisely scored like a symphony. And I guess that's where Daniel comes in, is sort of like bridging those two seemingly opposing tasks for a company, to sort of make something feel really organic and also just like tight and full. And yeah, Daniel is such an interesting director. I've never worked with anyone else like him. Yeah. Basically, if I can describe his process, like briefly, I would say he observes, well, first of all, he casts people and selects people to work with across the board who he believes in and who he respects and is excited by. So that's like step number one. But then once we all get into a room together, he listens to those people, he watches those people, he learns what those instincts are, and honestly, like, he shapes things around that. He wants to see what you do. He wants to see where you're gonna walk, what you're gonna pick up while you say whatever. It's not. He doesn't like to prescribe anything. And then he'll just like kind of come at you like, day two with like, do that thing that you did just after you say this line. Yeah. And it just like it's really tiny touches that, but there's so much respect there, and there's so much enthusiasm for other artists in the way he works. It's sort of like he is incredible, and also like his work often is invisible.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to work with him, and to see him be excited and surprised by the work in the room, just like we all are, and like audiences are. He really welcomes that kind of energy. When we started rehearsals for the Broadway run, I just was like kind of in awe of my castmates. I loved what they did at Playwrights Horizons. I loved the play then. But I became like extraordinarily emotional, not at any particular like sort of event in the play necessarily, but just watching. It was like actually a scene that I was watching between Sarah and Tom, who play Peter and Diana, and I was just watching the way that they work, again, like the curiosity that they were coming back to the table with, and I just thought it was so beautiful, and I was moved to tears, and Daniel makes that kind of work possible. In a very, it's just, you feel really free around him.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of excitement.
It's a dynamite cast. Like I said, it's so organic, it's so free. Except for Will Brill, I think you're all making your Broadway debuts, right?
That's true, yeah.
Have you all talked about it?
Totally, and we joke about Will Brill being like out of the club because he's too successful. But yeah, it's a thrill for all of us, and I think more than the idea. I honestly I don't put much stock in like whether I'm making my Broadway debut or not. It's more like, whoa, I get to do this play in front of this many people under a gilded proscenium arch, like with this set, with these, with this sound design, with it's just. I get to be a part of this incredible show. Yeah. And it's such an honor. And the fact that we, did it and it went well the first time would have been enough for me. But this is like beyond my wildest dreams. That like, I think, it's not about making our Broadway debut. It's about making our Broadway debuts with this, at least for me. It's such a thrill.
That night's going to be magical for you. Just get ready.
What, the opening?
Yeah, and take it all in.
I already had a pretty magical first preview, so I don't know. We'll see.
What do you remember about that first preview on Broadway at the Golden?
It was surreal. For one thing, the producers did the most genius thing ever, which was like they decided. Not just decided. Like I'm sure there were conversations about it. But they were like, one day in rehearsal, I can't remember who it was, whether it was the stage manager or Daniel, was like, so we're going to add a performance the day before your first preview. Yeah. And all the tickets are going to be $40. Yeah. And that goes on sale in 2 days. And so there was a lot of, and we sold out, and that crowd was extraordinarily excited about the play. A lot of them were people who saw it the first time or weren't able to get tickets the first time. Just the energy in that house was pretty incredible. Then a couple days later you learn like, oh, it's not going to be like this every time, right? Because everybody was so excited. It was wild. It was, during the curtain call, it was a little bit of an out-of-body experience for sure. I totally was just like, I'm bowing now. My parents were out there. I was thinking about them watching me doing the thing that they've I'm so lucky that they've supported me in my whole life. I started doing this, like auditioning for stuff when I was 10. I grew up in the city. Yeah. So, It's been a journey, and not, obviously not always an easy one, and they've been just like really there for it the whole time. So that was really special to share with them. And again, just this role is, I can't have, like, it's almost like when you imagine meeting the love of your life.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who the love of your life is before you meet them, but eventually you're like, okay, well, I'm in love with you. And
that's this play.
That's this play. I'm in love with this play. And it is like the ultimate dream for me of the roles that I've always sort of aspired to and wanted to see in the world, first of all, but second of all, to inhabit. Just the nuances of the character and the different colors, and in some ways, like, just elements of this character that I feel so lucky to be able to sort of, like, for somebody to have given me permission to play.
You all inhabit them so beautifully. I wish there was a word to use of watching you all do what you do, because I don't see actors up there. I actually see these people.
That's cool.
And I feel like you get to know them all during. It's almost 3 hours, but it flies by really fast.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I've talked to a lot of people, even people who like don't see a lot of theater, who are like, I was intimidated when I saw the runtime, but they leave like being like, that was amazing, and it is amazing, and I think what is time?
Yeah. I could have sat for another hour, seriously, and like.
I mean, I could do this
part
play.
two.
I could do part 2, part 3. Let's do like the 9-hour. Like, let's do sequels. Let's do. I mean.
But speaking of that, what do you do on double show days? Like, how do
I take naps in between for sure. I'm probably the most devoted napper in the cast.
Okay.
Like, whereas like other members of the cast maybe would take, like, during our last run, I don't know how many weekends we had, let's call it 10.
Yeah.
Maybe they like napped like 3 weekends every day.
You shut your door, right?
I actually, I sleep really easy, and I also don't want to be like awake from my sleep and feel like it's the middle of the night, and I go keep sleeping.
Yeah.
So I left the door open. I also have, Andrew, who plays Charlie, who is I was gonna use a bad word, but he is spectacular in this play, and we have, our characters have the sort of most intimate relationship, ongoing intimate relationship that my character has with anyone. And I love Andrew so much. I think he's so brilliant as Charlie. And so we share a dressing room. And so,
Nice.
I was always like, you can come and go. Doors open. Lights are on. I don't want to wake up and think I still get to sleep some more.
Totally.
So,
it's like, welcome to the stage. Get to the stage, right?
Yeah. No, let's
take a cat nap and that's it.
Yeah, I can't take a real. So
you take those little matinee naps.
I take the matinee naps for sure. Yeah. And the other thing that was cool at Playwrights, it was just like, because the show's so long, we had a really quick turnaround and actually the crew had the quickest turnaround. Yeah. So we talked to them about it, and they ended up like giving us like a little family meal as a cast and crew in between those shows. So we would, and they have a great green room situation at Playwrights. That's something that we all kind of miss now, because like, I don't know, like, I think it's sort of a standard thing in Broadway houses. There's like the dressing room tower. Yeah. And so there's like, 2 dressing rooms per floor. It used to be like all on one floor, and there was just a central area. And we, I don't know, I've never been part of a cast where we actually wanted to go sit in the green room and like hang.
Is there a go-to dressing room now at the Golden that you all go to beforehand, or is there something you all do before you go on stage?
Like to convene?
Yeah.
I think one of them will open up to us eventually. They're all sort of like, there's the creatives dressing room right now, and I think that will then become somewhere we can convene. There's also a music room where they have like doubles of the instruments and stuff, and so we also have understudies now who are learning all the songs, learning our roles.
Wow.
We didn't have that the first time around. They have a lot of work that they have to do, and they're doing a spectacular job with it. But yeah, we had like a pretty unique situation with the understudies because the play's so demanding in terms of precision and timing, and the fact that they have to perform on these instruments and sing these, like, you know, these vocals and stuff. It's a lot to learn, and some of them are doubling or tripling roles. So they brought the understudies in for the Broadway process right off of the bat, day one.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and it was, you know, they joined the room in such a beautiful way. I mean, they're all so talented and lovely, and they became sort of like a great audience and in moments, and also we sort of like sub them out one at a time, and we get to sort of play the scenes and sort of discover things with them, and I don't know, that's been a really fun part of this process too. You know, it's nice to have the understudies around, and really, like, I think it's pretty special how everyone sort of welcomed them in, and also how they stepped into
Beautiful.
the space.
I'm sure it's a Daniel thing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Not a coincidence.
You worked with Daniel before on Skin Tight,
Yes.
the Joshua Harmon play, which I loved you all at Roundabout.
Thank you.
Working with Adena Menzel. Favorite memory of doing that?
Oh, I love Adena. Okay, here's a pretty surreal one. Adena Menzel, I hope this isn't too intimate to tell, but a couple of the cast members would sometimes shower before shows. And Adena Menzel was singing in the shower backstage, and I was just like getting ready in my dressing room, and I was like, Adena Menzel's singing in the shower. And that was pretty insane. But she played my mom, and she's such a lovely person. And literally, like, in terms of like one meaning of the word, a total diva, and not a diva at all. Just really, and really looked out for me. Actually, like, I started working with my manager, who I love, Anthony Aiello, shout out, what's up? He was part of her team, and she sort of facilitated that, and she's really looking out for me the whole time, and that was beautiful. And Daniel, again, like, such an incredible director. Loved working with Josh. Loved working with Will Britton. Became a really close friend of mine. That whole cast.
Fabulous show. So I think one of the earliest things I saw you in was A Squid and the Whale.
That was my first major, film role. And I was, I'd been auditioning for stuff since I was like 10. And that's the first thing that I got at like age 16. And that was super exciting for me. I actually, I used to watch IFC a lot as a kid. And I thought I was very cultured. Yes, I was 12 and watching IFC, but I used to see Noah Baumbach's films on there, Kicking and Screaming. Actually, Kicking and Screaming, there's a character named Grover, played by Josh Hamilton. But yeah, I was a big fan of his already. And he also had a film called Highball, which was like sort of like a cult, such a fun, like, little like film he made with his friends. But anyway, I was a fan of his already, and then I think he was a little surprised when I came into the audition, and I was like, I'm a fan of yours. And I was like 15. He was like, thanks.
It's like, I'm going to hire you.
Well, I don't know. But he did. But no, that was a really exciting project to work on with Jesse Eisenberg.
Could you work with him again?
I did on
Jesse.
Holy Rollers. Yeah, he's a great guy. And yeah, we became friendly as well, but yeah, I had a lot more like in Squid and the Whale that ended up in the film, but I was actually happy. Like, I won't say it because it's not a family friendly line, but I have a pretty memorable single thing that I say in that movie, and that's, you know, in some ways it feels like, oh, it's better that that's the only thing you say.
Yeah, totally. Okay, finally, what if you could sum up the best part of the experience of being a part of Stereophonic? What is it for you?
Okay, wow, like it's like infinite. So let me see. Bringing this incredible play to life is just a huge privilege and an honor. David Adjemi wrote something that I've never seen the likes of, even remotely, in theater, in art, you know, and so ambitious. The fact that it was produced at all is like it's just such an incredible gift, because it's such a scary thing to undertake.
Yeah.
But, you know, really probably the reason that it's scariest is because it's so good. And it's a lot to live up to. And, you know, just being a part of bringing his incredible work on this play, which he worked on for over 10 years, along with Daniel and Will Butler, and our music director, Justin Craig. Being a part of bringing that incredible work over the course of 10 years out where it can be seen and experienced is the greatest honor of my life, and like might be till the day I die.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest joy for me.
Well, like I said, you were superb in this show, as everybody is. Welcome to Broadway, my friend.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you.
Really
Good talking
nice.
with you.